What's up, everybody? I am back. I know you're just thrilled. You've been waiting for a new bad show. I know it. I know it. I just know it. It was that important part of your life that you just couldn't live without. Well, it's back. Welcome to Brad's Bad Show about games. My name is Brad, and I am not your uncle who works for Nintendo. I hate to disappoint you. That is not me. That's somebody else. But but yeah, this might be a long one. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, I recently got my second dose of COVID vaccine, the one that hits you like a truck, and yeah, I felt like I ran over 2 days ago. Not good times. But feeling pretty good today, actually. I felt the first day, my arm was a little sore, which it never got as bad as it did the first time, which is weird. The first shot, my arm was killing me. Second shot, my arm never got that sore, but the first day of the second shot wasn't that bad. The second day, I got it, went home, and I was pretty much fine the rest of that day. The next day was ugh. Like that was the bad day. The next day, I felt a lot better the next day. Still felt kind of off. But I think I had like a slight fever come and go. I had a slight cough, like a dry cough. I still kind of have that, although I don't think it's as bad today. But anyway, I'm feeling mostly normal today. So I think that's good. Definitely better than 2 days ago. But anyway, I know you're not here to listen to me talk about feeling crappy. So let's jump into things right off the bat with news about the Batman stuff. The Batman Fortnite comic crossover, which today is April 18th. Which, by the way, I guess one more little side note before we get into this talk. My birthday was recently, so happy birthday to me from a few days ago. I've now walked this earth for 33 years. That's a long, long time, people. But anyway, we got Harley Quinn news. She has been found. They found her pretty much ready to go in the code after the last update. And I think this is a pretty cool skin. And I think I do like this one better than I like the other Harley skins that are already in the game. But anyway, the news about her and about the other stuff is that all of the Batman Fortnite cosmetics, I think except the actual Batman armored skin or whatever they're calling it, that you get if you put in all 6 codes. That one may not be in the shop, but they didn't really clarify that. But all of the Batman comic, all of the cosmetics that come with the comics will be in the shop the day that the comics release, except for Harley. She comes out later. I think they said maybe in June. But I don't know what the deal is with the way for Harley, except I think maybe it's story related. Even though we've seen some comic images that show her clearly being involved in the very beginning of the arc, but I guess she doesn't show up until later in the story again. But I don't know. But yeah, so if you can't get the comics for whatever reason, which I would advise you do that, although I'm not sure what the best deal is, because you could also subscribe to what is it, DC Universe or something like that. And you get the codes for free. You get the digital comic with your subscription, and you get the codes as well. But it's like $7 or $8 a month to get them. So I'm not sure what the total is, but personally, if I can, I'm going to try to track down the comics, because I think the comics would be cool to have like physically and then you get the code that way. But some people, having a physical item of something isn't that important to them. So who knows? Do what's best for you, but I think this is going to be cool. I think a possible leaked. I think Deathstroke's leaked glider may have popped up around social media, as well as Batman's Zero glider or something. I can't remember what that one was called exactly, but people were unsure if that was actually legit or not. So far, I think the only cosmetic we've actually seen from these comics in game that is 100% confirmed is Harley. Now, there's theoretically, there's going to be a Deathstroke skin. Somebody brought up the possibility of Deadshot being in the comic as well. Possibly a Catwoman variant because she looks different in the comic. So, I don't know what all to expect. It'll be interesting, though. It'll be interesting to see what all comes with it. But anyway, that's right around the corner. Like I said, this is the 18th. 2 days from now, the first Batman comic will be out. So it's coming. It's here. And the only real question now is, will this affect the in-world game? Will this affect the Battle Royale mode? Or will it not? Because that was supposed to be a big selling point of this thing, is that it is very important to the overall Fortnite story. So I would imagine that this will play out somehow in Battle Royale. Especially if it's supposed to carry over into the next season. Which the timeline suggests it will, because the last issue or two were supposed to take place after the season is scheduled to end. Because I know that the last comic, I think, comes out early July, or late June. I can't remember the dates exactly. But the season is currently scheduled to end on June 8th, which is before the series of comics ends. So we'll just have to see. Anyway, another crossover for Fortnite that at the moment I have not decided to get into, even though I think it's a really, really cool skin, is this character from, what is the game? Horizon Zero Dawn? Is that the name of it? I'm not actually sure. I mean, yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. This character, her name is spelled Aloy. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Aloy. I don't know. Aloy. I'm not sure. I'm going to butcher the name because I've never played this game. I think I've seen a trailer for it, and it does look cool. I looked up the trailer for it. Although I think the one that I remember in my head most was from like a recent event of some sort of, not Nintendo Direct, whatever the one the Sony or Microsoft does. I can't remember. But she's a really cool looking character, and she's got a ton of stuff. Like, I think there's value in the set if you want it, because she's got, you come with a skin. If you get PS5, if you get it on PS5, if you play Fortnite on PS5, you get an exclusive version of her. So it's like the Kratos deal. So you get a skin, PS5, you get a variant. You get a harvesting tool, a glider, a weapon wrap, a back bling, a loading screen, and she comes with an emote. So that's a lot of stuff. That's more than you usually get for these characters. You usually don't get the whole set. So very cool. Since I'm not familiar with this game, I'm not familiar with this game, and at the moment I'm kind of low on like V-Bucks, and I'm real picky about what I buy, because I always wonder, like, okay, if I get this, even though it looks really cool, but I'm not familiar with the character, if I get this now, and I'm out of V-Bucks for, a little while, and then something drops that I really want, and I'm like, oh wait, this is a really cool character, a really fun character, and like I can't help it, but like in my head, I keep thinking that any day now they're gonna drop Peter Griffin out of the blue, and I can't resist the urge to want to, like, I want that in the game to happen, even though there's, like, at this point it's still just sort of it's still not super confirmed, but I just have that in my head every single time. I always sit there and I have to weigh out the cons and the pros of buying something. I'm like, if I get this now, that means I may not be able to get something else later. So I need to figure out, how bad do I want this? And even though this is a really good set, I like this character design a lot. And she definitely fits in with the primal motive that they're going here, the motif they got going on this season. I think I may hold off on this. Luckily, they do tend to at least bring these guys all back at the end of the season. So, hopefully she sticks around for a while. I kind of hate when they drop something, like a big deal like this, and then it just goes away. So, I do hope that she'll stick around for a while. It's been a few days, but I think at this point, I may not get her right now. But anyway. But she's cool. Definitely give her a try if you like that game. I definitely want to check out that game at some point. Horizon Zero Dawn. And whatever the other game from that series is called. But hey, good stuff. But speaking of Sony and Fortnite, it was revealed recently that I think Sony invested, what was it, like $200 million in Epic? Yeah. Sony invests another $200 million in Epic Games from The Verge. That's certainly something when you consider the fact that they don't see, like, all the stuff that's going on around Sony, and how they basically are throwing all of their old classic games and IPs in the trash to focus solely on gargantuan titles. Which leads us to the story, I think, that came out of Bloomberg, that Sony is currently working on a remake of The Last of Us, the original game, for the current gen. Even though, from what I understand, if you own a PS5, you can get the original Last of Us game for free. I'm not sure the extent of that, and I don't know how exactly that works, but that's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of people say that, like, that there's no point in remaking The Last of Us, like, now. Especially because, one, the game's not that old, so it's still a relatively recent game. It's not even 10 years old yet, if my dates are right. Like, the only reason to remake a game should be to remake a game, like, you should remake games the way, like, Pokemon did. Like, I know people dunk on the Pokemon games all the time, but let's just go with the most recent example with Diamond and Pearl. Let me look this up. When did Diamond and Pearl originally release? Initial release date, 2006. So this was 15 years ago that came out. And it will be a full 15 years by the time this game comes out later this year, for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So this is just, like, there's a big difference between 8 years and 15 years. And especially, like, you're going from Nintendo DS to the Nintendo Switch. And this was early DS, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly when the Nintendo DS... What year did the DS come out? Come here, Mr. Google. What year did the Nintendo DS come out? ...2004. Okay. still not super long into the life there, so it was like 2 years. But anyway, it's just so strange. Excuse me. But like, what happened to that story that I saw? I guess it was in a Game Informer. I think I talked about this before, where they were wanting to build their own like library of established characters and stuff that they wanted to run, like Nintendo, like they wanted to have their Marios and Links and Zeldas and Pikachus and all these iconic characters that stood out that they could put on merch and stuff. And it's just gone. Like, I think, and at the same time that they're doing all this, where they're wanting to focus on these big, blockbuster titles that's going to give them, like, HBO specials and films and stuff, instead of, like, I don't know, a new Spyro the Dragon, maybe? I mean, where's that at? I just finished a playthrough of the original Spyro the Dragon through an emulator for the YouTube channel. And at some point, I'll do the trilogy remakes, because I have that for Switch. Like, what's going on? Like, from everything I saw, people love the Crash trilogy remakes, and they love the Spyro trilogy remakes. Crash actually did get a new game, and that was a pretty big deal from what I saw. A lot of people were very excited about the Crash remake. About the new Crash game. So why aren't they doing that? Instead, they're letting certain studios, they're just folding certain studios. I think there was a Japanese studio. I can't remember. What's the name of it? It may have been actually Studio Japan. Japan Studio. Yeah, it's just called Japan Studio. I was close. But yeah, like, it's... I mean, I don't get it. Like, they're letting these studios just kind of just go. And not investing in them. They don't care about these smaller titles. Like, apparently Japan Studio was responsible for Ape Escape. I've wanted a new Ape Escape game for a while. Now I love the original one. I haven't played any of the other games of Ape Escape, but I was a huge fan of the first Ape Escape game. I would love to see that series come back. Now, I don't think they were responsible for this one, but yeah, I'm looking down this list of games here. Like, there was that rumor about the new Jak and Daxter game that supposedly was coming up at one point from Naughty Dog, and they just didn't do it. Or it had even started development. But I think that they may have actually put a pause on that game to make The Last of Us, if I remember that correctly. But it's just sad. And that's not necessarily, like, I haven't played The Last of Us, and I know it's an incredibly popular game, and an incredibly popular series, but why put all your eggs in one basket? You know? Nintendo doesn't just make Mario games. They have all sorts of IPs. And by the way, we're fixing to get into another story about that. And it's just mind-boggling in how, like, these incredibly profitable companies just cannot get out of their own way. But it's just disappointing. Like, but back to the original point about them investing $200 million in Epic. Epic doesn't need additional money. They're set. Fortnite's one of the biggest games on the planet. They make money regularly. I mean, it's not even it's every single live event they do seems to be more popular than the last, and more people are joining and playing. It's just, why do they get $200 million? This gigantic company that already is super profitable, but Sony can do that with all their money, but they can't help out these smaller studios who have some of these who are responsible for some well-known titles that could probably use a kick in the pants to get back on their feet. Come on, man. But no, we're gonna stick with The Last of Us and The Last of Us and The Last of Us. That's what we're gonna give you. I just don't get it. And so to piggyback off of that, we had a recent discussion pop up about a possible return of F-Zero, of which the answer was given that apparently it could be done, but it's very hard to do it without there being some massive change to the formula. And I don't understand that. Like, Nintendo made a ton of money off of basically just repurposing New Super Mario Brothers. I mean, and they did. There's like 5 different New Super Mario Brothers games, and none of them particularly do anything super different. The reason they sold well, though, was because people like playing side-scroller Mario games. There's not a tremendous difference between the way New Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, and New Super Mario Bros. What was it? What was it? There's another one. No, it's not. They remastered Wii U. They remastered it for the Switch. Never mind. But anyway, still, all those games are more or less the same, with a few gimmicks changed. That's it. So what could they not do with F-Zero? Why couldn't you do that? Because they have Mario Kart? It's just a different game. It's a completely different functioning game. Or they're race games. That doesn't matter. There's a ton of race games out there. There's a Garfield race game. The PlayStation 1 had a Smurfs racing game. Like, there was a oh God, what was that called? There was a Cubix race game. I just pulled that one out of the time machine for you. Cubix. Robots for everyone. There you go. There are race games all over the place. There's that Star Wars racer game that apparently everybody loved, but I thought sucked. Why couldn't you bring back F-Zero? I mean, why even keep putting Captain Falcon in Smash Brothers if like you think that his game series is not worth it? I mean, which is funny enough because Captain Falcon himself is a meme. The Falcon Punch, it was a meme for the longest time. And people still sort of like make jokes and gags about him. I mean, people like Captain Falcon. They like his over-the-top mannerisms and stuff. So, what couldn't you do? F-Zero is different enough from Mario Kart that it could stand on its own. So, because, like, for one, you have to survive the race. Your car can blow up. If you destroy your car, you're out of the race. You can fall off of the track, and then you're out of the race. But then there was one thing, like, my brother made a good point. You could do an online mode where it's just the death race from F-Zero X, which literally is just an endless race where you race in one big loop over and over and over again until you destroy enough other players' vehicles to be the last car standing. And I imagine that game wouldn't last as long when it's one. I actually did win one of those death match or death race games once, but it took so long that it just bored me. But I think if it was, instead of one human player and a bunch of computers, if it was literally just a bunch of human players, the race would be far more chaotic and therefore wouldn't be as long of a drag. So that could make things very interesting, but they could easily bring this back if they wanted to. And I think that the style of game is just too different to I think it's not it and Mario Kart are too different to sit there and use it as an excuse to say, well, it might, siphon some sales of Mario Kart. Maybe people who like Mario, maybe people who like F-Zero would buy that game instead of Mario Kart. We don't want to take away from Mario Kart. I'm like, they're not alike enough. They're only alike in the sense that they are racing games. That's like saying, oh well, maybe somebody we may not want maybe Street Fighter might take away sales of whatever other fighting game we got on this system. Like, shut up. It doesn't matter. You can have Tekken and King of Fighters and Killer Instincts and Street Fighter all on the same console or whatever. If you make your game good enough and make it stand out good enough, just because it's in the same genre doesn't mean it's going to take away. What do they think that, oh, people only play one racing game and this is it? Like, no. I mean, it depends on the person, but I mean, people don't go by that logic. That's a dumb thing. Like, I'm only going to play one racing game ever, and it's going to be this one, and I have to pick. I can't play another racing game at the same time that I play another racing game. Nobody says that. That's stupid. Anyway, let's try to get out of some negative talk now and talk about some more positive stuff. Apparently, Japan is getting a No More Heroes trilogy release. I think it's going to run, what is it? I think the U.S. cost is about like I think it's about $90. So you get No More Heroes, No More Heroes 2, and No More Heroes 3. So that's a pretty fun little thing. I wonder if we'll get that here, though. As far as I know, that's only slated for Japan. But that would be a cool way to get them all together. I think that's a fair price. Maybe a little bit cheaper than buying all three separately. Because surely No More Heroes 3 is going to be $60. The other two are for sale individually on the Switch online shop, $18 a piece. And that adds up to about $100 if you include taxes, maybe a little bit over. So $90 for all three, get a little save a few bucks there. So not a bad deal. I still haven't finished my playthrough of No More Heroes. I will, though. If this comes out in English, if we get this over here, probably going to get this, though. Because it is a physical release. So hopefully we get that in the over here in the States. More good news. A brand new trailer for a new Pokemon Snap dropped. Was it 2 days ago now, maybe? Maybe 3? Showing a little bit more of the gameplay of the new Pokemon Snap. And I'm pretty excited. Like, it gives you different ways. One of the things that they definitely showed off that I'm glad and I kind of predicted would be in is branching paths in the course. Now, the way that the game works is that the more pictures you take, and the higher your score, your I can't remember the term they use, but your in-game level will increase. The higher your level, the more Pokemon will show up, or the more different kinds of Pokemon will show up in the level. And at certain points, you will be able to find or you'll be able to unlock alternate paths on the course that will take you to different places where you can maybe see Pokemon doing different things. Maybe, I think, even see Pokemon you wouldn't see on the usual path, or maybe give you shots from a different perspective. So that's very cool, and it gives the game more of that replay factor that the first game really doesn't give you, because in the original Pokemon Snap, nothing changes. Every time you go on a course, the exact same thing plays out every time. So this time you're encouraged to go back to old levels and see anything you missed beforehand. And things can actively change. Now, I don't remember them saying anything about day and night feature, or if anything is like random. Because I would like to hope there's a little bit of randomness added to the game. And like, like if you get to a certain point where a legendary Pokemon shows up on a route, that it doesn't just, from now on, it's there every time. Because that would be weird, But hopefully that's something there. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to this game. This is a really cool game. Probably the best that Pokemon have looked in any game so far. In terms of visual quality, this is the best looking Pokemon game out there right now. Well, not now. It's not out yet, but you know what I mean. Anyway, very excited about new Pokemon Snap. Gonna be a really cool game to get through. Nintendo did an Indie World showcase a few days ago. A couple of things there that I didn't really watch it. The only things to take away from that I and that's no offense, I don't really feel like the specific indie games are really worth talking about that much. But interesting, of course. I think the biggest takeaway from that one was that the new TMNT game is going to be there. Shredder's Revenge. It will be on the Switch. So, if you're hoping to get a new beat 'em up Turtles game, and you were hoping that would end up on the Switch, it's coming. So that's cool. And like I said, that's not to slight the other indie games. It's just I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch it myself. It's just there's a lot to talk about, and I fell behind because I got, I didn't feel like doing the show, and then I had to deal with the vaccine and everything. But I would encourage you, if you're super interested in indie games, do go and check out what they covered, because you never know what kind of hidden gem is out there in the indie world. So, and I would say that especially considering, like, if Nintendo is, putting them in their displays, then that means that there's, at some level, Nintendo feels that this is a game that will make them some money. So, or will at least to appeal to a broader audience. So, do go and check that out. I'll check it out at some point. I just wanted to make sure to get that in there. But the big takeaway from that is the Turtles game. Also, just a side note, because I don't want to go off too much on it, because I don't think this was part of Indie World, but Nintendo is also getting a remake of The House of the Dead, which is an old arcade game that I remember. I've theorized for a while that Arcade 1-Up was going to make a cabinet of the original House of the Dead, because they did the big Buck Hunter cabinets, but who knows, this could be part of an attempt to bring back House of the Dead as a whole, and we're getting closer to E3 time. Still not quite here yet, but Arcade 1-Up announces cabinets during E3 time, so House of the Dead cabinet announcement this summer? Maybe, but we'll have to see. Anyway, moving on from that, there was a big leak coming around about the Nintendo Switch this year. One of the big some big things to talk about. I took there was several little things sprinkled in there, but these were the ones that I saw that were most interesting. Is potentially a Mario Kart 9 might get announced this year. Was one of the rumors, and I think I'm fine with this if this happens. I haven't really spent a lot of time in Mario Kart since it came to the Wii, because I just couldn't get into it. And maybe that's my fault. Like, I tried to get into the steering mechanic with the little extension thing for the Wii remote, and I just didn't like it. I think I prefer Mario Kart when it's more traditional. Just give me a controller and I'll drive that way. So I think maybe if I just play it that way, I would like these games more. So, I don't know. But anyway, I do hope that Mario Kart, like, I think it's an interesting thing that they started doing in the last one, where they were adding like Link from Zelda to the thing. Some Animal Crossing characters were added. Like, do that. Let Mario, like, have more guest characters in Mario Kart. Like, I think that would be, really fun. Like, imagine Pikachu's in there. Like, I don't think you need to turn it into Smash Brothers, You don't need to go all out on that. But I do think having DLC packs of characters, like, do a Zelda pack. Let you be able to race as Link and Zelda and whichever other character is popular at the moment. That would be cool. We already kind of know this. Well, we know at least that there will be news about it. But the leak said that Breath of the Wild 2 will be coming out this year. Now, I think that's a very good bet, considering it was announced like 2 years ago. So, that would be a good bet that this game will come out this year at some point. We already know for sure that there is news about Breath of the Wild 2 coming this year. They were just holding off on it. So, potentially saving the big announcement for E3, it would make sense, sort of to bring it full circle to where they announced the game at E3 a few years back, and then announced the official reveal. I don't know if that's I don't know what you would classify as an official reveal, because the game doesn't really have a title yet. It's just Breath of the Wild, the sequel. And we don't really know anything really about the story other than this is a sequel game. So, you could count the original thing as a teaser, or you could count that as the official reveal, because we didn't know this was happening, and now we do know it's happening, so that is kind of a reveal, but I don't know. That's just sort of arguing over, what term you want to use. But anyway. Also, Metroid could be on the return. Supposedly a new 2D Metroid game is coming for the Switch, and a possible trilogy of the first 3 Metroid Prime games. We're still left in the dark about Metroid Prime 4. Now, I'm not super into Metroid, personally, just because I haven't played those games, even though I kind of do want to play them. So a release trilogy would be cool. And a 2D Metroid on the Switch would be fun to look at too. So, I got no problem with that. It would give me, again, an excuse to get into Metroid. Because the only Metroid game that I have, or that I've tried to invest time in, was Other M. And from everything I understand, that's the worst point that you could possibly get into Metroid. So, of course, that would be the one that I went with. But, anyway. Hopefully this is good. Because Metroid fans have been wanting something for so long, and at least this would be a new game, and then they could have the trilogy of games that they really love. But now on to the more interesting story, a possible reveal of the next 2 Smash Bros. Characters. The first of which being Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden. And personally, I'd be fine with this. It's a mature rated game. I think that if Smash is going to be appealing to players of all ages from all over the game series, I think this would make sense. Supposedly with like is there a new Ninja Gaiden game in the works coming to the Switch or something? I know there's a trilogy coming out, a trilogy release coming out, or something like that. Only thing I can see people complaining about is possibly with him being a ninja and him having swords. That people will say again, it's a sword fighter again. I'm like, I think the sword fighter argument is kind of dumb if you're not talking specifically about Fire Emblem characters. Like, because, like, Hero and Link and just it just there's a lot of sword fighter characters in the game, but they all are very different from each other as well. Hero has his sword and shield like all the Links do, but he plays differently. He's not just like them. So a character just having a sword is not the issue for me. It's the Fire Emblem characters feeling like they are taking up a large portion of the roster. For being a game series, it seems like it's not. It doesn't come across as popular as Mario, because they're like one of the most represented. It's one of the most represented series characters in the game. I think there are more Fire Emblem characters in the game than Pokemon, and Pokemon definitely seems to have a much broader appeal to me, or at least is more known of a title than Fire Emblem. Like, I think if you were to ask people, do you know what Pokemon is versus do you know what Fire Emblem is, you're going to have more people probably say, oh yeah, I know what Pokemon is, before they would say, oh, I know what Fire Emblem is. And that's not to say that Fire Emblem is necessarily unpopular. I just think that, overall popularity, I think Pokemon would edge out over Fire Emblem. But I could be wrong. But anyway, this would be a cool character, I think. Interesting enough, with his name being Ryu Hayabusa. I wonder what would they call him? Because we already have just plain Ryu from Street Fighter in the game. So I wonder if they would actually call him Ryu Hayabusa, or if they would just shorten it to Hayabusa. I kind of feel like they would just go with Hayabusa to try to cut back on confusion. But then again, there are two Roys in the game, and they both have separate announcer names, which is funny because if you pick the Koopaling Roy, I think he goes like, the announcer kind of goes, Roy. And then if you pick the, or like a slightly lower one, he's like, Roy. And then if you pick Roy from Fire Emblem, he goes, Roy. So it's a different inflection. Like, it's exciting, good Roy versus bad, delinquent Roy. Like, yeah, like, but, I don't know. The second one is the really interesting Smash guess, is that supposedly it's going to be, I hope I say this name right, is Matoi from Phantasy Star Online 2. Now, my first reaction to this is, what? I don't know anything about this. Like, I have Phantasy Star Online 2 downloaded on my Xbox, because there's a free-to-play base version, and I wanted to check it out, because years ago I played Phantasy Star Universe, and I enjoyed that game. I never finished it, but I thought it was a pretty fun game. Hold on a second. Yeah, I thought it was a really cool game. And maybe, just maybe, I'll start playing it for the YouTube channel. But I have this game downloaded. I have the base version, the base free-to-play version, and I would like to check it out, but I don't know anything about this character or anything. But it is surprising that would be a game that Nintendo would want in Smash. So, I don't know. Like, I'm still partially expecting Crash Bandicoot to make it in, because at this point, he's practically the most requested character next to Sora. So, who knows, man? Especially considering that the other part of the leak regarding Smash is that there will be a third Fighter's Pass coming. And, to be honest, that seems like the most likely thing in the world to me. Like, at this point, like, every time there's a Smash announcement, it just overtakes everything. Like, the video game awards from a while back where they revealed Sephiroth. Sephiroth was literally the most interesting thing that happened during that show. It was the biggest thing. And Sephiroth being in the game was just there was so much Sephiroth art, and it's you just cannot deny the power of Smash. And as long as the Switch is going to be around, they need to keep Smash DLC going if they want to make money. Like, if they want to make tons of money. Like, it just makes sense. Like, if the Switch really is only just now around at its halfway point of its lifespan, and it's still got another 4 or 5 years, like this Fighter's Pass is supposed to be completely revealed by I think the end of the year. So, guarantee we're getting a Smash announcement at E3. Who knows if they'll do both of them there and then just stagger the release, kind of like they did for the other E3 where they announced Hero, and then at the very beginning, and then right towards the end they revealed Banjo. I mean, I don't know if they'll do that again, but another Fighter's Pass could be cool, and maybe do what they did again and just expand the Fighter's Pass. Instead of 5 characters, or instead of 6 characters this time, make it 7. Make it 8. Drag it out a little more. I mean, I'm sure that they've got all these ideas in mind, and I'm sure even after they said this was the final thing, I'd like to hope like that they wouldn't just definitively say that unless they were certain. Like, it seems weird that they would announce that ahead of time, that this would be the final Fighter's Pass, and then 2 years later just be like, no, yeah, we're committed to this, we're done. I mean, I don't know. I hope that I would be happy if they changed their mind on that, because there's certainly no shortage of characters they could add. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Because when they announced Bayonetta, they said this is the last character, and then she was the last character for the last game. So, who knows, man. But I think that's about all I got. I managed to keep the show a little bit under an hour, because I kind of didn't rant as much. But I do want to do one side quest, if you don't mind, since I'm doing those now. For a song I heard yesterday for the first time. It's been out for a few months, but if you know me, I'm a hard rock metal guy. First and foremost, I'll listen to any kind of music if it gets into my ear and I like it. I don't care what genre it is. I do not care. There's still like country music from when I was a kid that I think is absolutely great, and I could listen to it. Like, I know people like dunk on like Garth Brooks all the time, but his country music is far better than modern country music. Like, some of this modern country music is just I can't listen to it. It sounds terrible, and some of it's so generic that it just ugh. I can only tolerate so many songs about wearing blue jeans while driving your pickup truck with a gun in your passenger seat with a can of beer. You know, I can't do it. But anyway, the song is Obsolete of Mice and Men. And I know this is a band that people seem to... I get, well, I was going to say some people really like them and some people really don't like them. I know a lot of people miss the other singer, Austin, where he had to step away from the band because he had a health condition that was made worse by the fact that he would literally scream so much. And when your role in a band is literally to scream, and doctors tell you, hey, you're killing yourself by doing this, then you kind of have to make a choice. And he chose, of course, hey, this is literally killing me. I can't do this anymore. So, which I don't know if it's, to be fair, I don't remember if it actually was killing him literally, but I do know that it made his condition worse, so he had to get out. So that's understandable. I don't know if he necessarily, like, I know he supposedly said, there's supposedly an interview out there where he said that that was one of the most miserable points of his life, was being in the band. And I don't know if he meant that from like a dealing with people perspective, or if he didn't like the band, because I don't remember that sentiment coming across from when he stepped away. But I don't know. It may have just been physical pain, but I'll look into that eventually. But anyway, the guy who would sing their clean vocals took over the screams, and admittedly, his screams aren't necessarily, they don't stand out as much as Aaron's screams don't stand out as much as Austin's does. I think that's his name is Aaron, but I think he's good at it. But the song overall, from what I understand, I was looking through the comments of the video, which I usually do to try to get a sense of seeing if anybody has said anything about like what the song's about. And that was just so I could listen to it at the same time. But one of the comments said that that Aaron said that the song was about thinking about what it's like to be left behind in society. And he's telling it as in, he used an example of like how, you know, he's like, the song's basically saying like, you know, how do you deal with the idea of society leaving you behind, or deciding that you're no longer relevant and you're no longer necessary to the world. And the specific examples he gave were like, you know, technology-based things like, you know, every time a new cell phone comes out, you know, it's the hottest thing in the world. Fast forward a year and the new model comes out, and then that old model now is you're done. Nobody wants that anymore. You're worthless now. Flip phones used to be like all over the place. You used to be the coolest of the cool if you had a flip phone. Now if you've got a flip phone, people will make fun of you and they'll laugh at you. Hey, you have a flip phone? you loser, you dork. And then he said MySpace. Remember MySpace used to be like the biggest site in the world? And then Facebook came along, and now MySpace is dead. Just completely dead. And they tried to reboot it back a little while ago, and it, as far as I know, it didn't go anywhere. So, you know, it's a thing to worry. It's a thing to sit back and wonder, man. Like, and of course, like I said, you know, the examples he used with technology, but people feel this way too. At what point do you feel like everybody's just kind of giving up on you, or just like, you know, that you don't have a place in the world? You know, it's a song that I really connected with, and you know, and plus I just think that musically it sounds very good. I like the music in it. I think Aaron's clean vocals are freaking amazing. He's got a great voice. And, you know, I would be playing this in the background right now if I wasn't super afraid of, you know, of copyright strikes and everything. But yeah, if you like that hard rock, I think they're technically supposed to be like a metalcore band. I mean, I don't know. Plus, and by the way, if you're into animation, you probably would like this too, because it's an animated music video. There's some 2D animation, and they try to blend it a little bit in with some 3D animation too. But I think the visuals are really cool. There's a point in there. You might could see this here in this image of the YouTube thumbnail for the video, where this all-white character that looks like just a default base figure with no details is fighting a black version of himself. And the default, detailless image is a good way to where you could put yourself, you could put anything there. It's, a personification of anything because there's no facial features. It's literally just like that default facial look, like with the lines where you determine where the face divides in half and at what point the eye line in the of the character design would be. It's just your basic character frame. And anyway, at one point towards the song, the characters, the white frame and this black frame of himself began fighting each other. It looks like, or the black frame is trying to capture the white frame, and is a very cool yin yang sort of thing going where, as the black frame character is going after the white frame character, you see in the visuals the black frame character is surrounded by a white background, while the white frame character is surrounded by a black background, and it's straight up just yin and yang fighting each other. It's like you're trying to find the balance of, it's a battle of truth and ideals. Which one is real? How do you overcome one? Which one without the other? It's a really cool visual there. And it's almost a fight scene. I just struggle to call it a fight scene because I don't think that anyone actually hits anyone. So, but it's an interesting scene to see play out. But anyway, if you like that kind of music, and to me, it feels like an emotional song. I know I listened to some reactions from it yesterday, and a lot of people thought it was kind of generic. Granted, I think this is people who are way into more heavier music, but everybody's free to have their own opinion. But personally, I really like this song, and since it's a recent song and I just found out about it, like, I don't want to use the show to just plug random songs. But anyway, do go give this song a listen if you like this kind of music or if you like this band. And that is all I've got today for you guys. So thanks for listening. Don't really know what else to talk about at the moment. Again, we're about to get into the Fortnite stuff with Batman, and that will be interesting. New Pokemon Snap coming out soon. Should be fun. And I guess we'll find out what other kind of crazy nonsense will come out of the gaming world, which seems to be pretty much at any given point. But thanks for listening, as always. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try again, I want to try to get back into doing shorter shows so that people don't have to sit through an hour of me talking. Try to keep shows down to maybe around 30 minutes if I can, instead of these hour-long shows. But I don't know. I mean, if you like the hour-long ones and think I should do fewer of them and just wait until there's a lot of things to talk about at once, then that's fine. But, however you want it, whatever you guys would prefer, please do let me know. But thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Go back and watch all the other bad shows. And watch my gameplay videos and my Fortnite videos and all that good stuff. And we will see you for the next one. Later.